Hello and welcome to another edition of AttractWell Office Hours. I'm Coach Ashley, and in this special edition, we're going to be talking about website footer design that fits your brand and website. Now, today is a special session because it is pre-recorded. You'll normally find us live here every Thursday at 2 p.m. US Eastern Time on Zoom. And then, of course, we post our replays here to our YouTube channel. This week, Thursday happens to fall on Independence Day, which is holiday here in the United States. And those are days that we are off with our families. And I hope if you celebrate that you are as well. This is available here to you as a live premiere, as well as a recording and replay, so that you can watch this whenever you like. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope that you'll join us on a future live session where we can speak to one another and we can work together as we often do. We do dedicate the second half of our live calls to working one-on-one with folks in the community. So I hope you'll join us. Today, we're talking website footers, so let's get into it. First, we'll talk about what goes into a footer. We'll explore several styles of footers, and we'll get into our resources that we will use extensively here today. I've actually created some templates for you that you can utilize on your website right away. So first and foremost, I really hope that you'll come and join us on a future live call. This is where you want to go to sign up, be on the list, get notified what our next topic is, and of course, be able to join us live on Zoom every Thursday. So that's attractwell.com/office hours if you would like to work together live on a call like that. So one of our Thursday calls where we are live, you can go to attractwell.com/work review. That's where you can sign up for dedicated space in the second half of our live Thursday calls. And if you would like for our team to do some work for you, if you'd like to hand off some of the work that you are working on, including designing a footer for your website, you can go to attractwell.com/concierge to hand this task off to someone qualified to get it done for you without you having to worry about it. Now, question for you. Do you have a footer? Now, when you get started with AttractWell and you go through the customize my site process, you have the ability to input things like social media links and so on. And there is a built-in footer that comes with your AttractWell system. So this is fully functional. If you have gone through all of that customization in terms of your site setup in AttractWell, then you already have a fully functional footer, which is great. What if you want something that is branded to you, something that fits your palette, maybe has a little bit more of a design flair to it, and maybe even utilizes features such as sitemap type organization, logos, and the like, right? So if you want to take this to the next level, you're in the right place. We're going to get into that here today. First, let's talk about what goes into a footer, right? So a footer, first and foremost, lives at the very bottom of almost every page on your website, right? It's a great place to reiterate information and to really support your website's menu, but in a way that gets to be a lot busier than your menu should be. Now, a footer is something that most people don't see when they go to your website. Statistically speaking, most people don't make it past the fold, right? So above the fold on the website is the very first set of stuff that folks see. Most people don't make it beyond that. In fact, over 70% of people don't make it past the fold. So all of that is to say, what goes up there is most important, and everything else that supports navigation and organization on your website can find a really great home in your footer. So let's talk about what can go into it. First, things like copyright notices, which are especially important for you if you are publishing unique content, such as on your blog, on your website. Any legal links that might include affiliate disclaimers, terms of use, privacy policies, refund policies, things like that, right? All of your legalese can go into your footer. Your logo belongs in your footer as well as in the header of your website. Your social media links. This is a perfect home for them because, again, above the fold, we don't want to be sending people to another website. We want to keep them on our website. So where do we send them if they want to connect with us on social? We send them to the footer, right? Our contact information, if you want people to be able to reach out to you, this is a great place to put it, as well as in the menu and header of your website, as well as a sort of light version of a sitemap. So bundles of links that are in different categories spread out in a single view where you can actually allow people to go and choose the thing that they want. And then finally, a call to action to get people onto your list, because if you can do it, why not, right? As the purpose of your website, right? Obviously, not just to show people your brand and what you're about, but importantly for your website to do something for you, which is to collect leads for your list. So let's get into a couple of styles of footers. This is not an exhaustive list, but it's a great starting point. And it does take into account everything that we have just discussed in terms of what goes into a footer. So the first is a basic footer. This is going to be very image oriented, and it's going to have those social media links. In this case, they are social icons that folks can click to go off to those respective platforms. You'll also have your logo here. There's a copyright notice with your name and the year. And then you can have those important links like your privacy policy, terms of use, contact information, disclaimers, etc. You'll note that this does look just as good on desktop on the left here as it does on mobile on the right. When you're designing your footer, it is critical that you ensure that this is going to look good on both platforms. And I highly recommend that you use one of these templates that I've provided for you here today to make your life easier for that design process. A sitemap footer is another fantastic option, especially if there's a lot of stuff for people to peruse. I have included here the different options would be get in touch, learn, and about. You are not limited to those categories alone, and you can actually create multiple lists here stacked on top of each other. I wouldn't go more than four deep here in terms of columns on the page width-wise, but you can absolutely format this so that under get in touch, you have another list, you're kind of bolding that with a paragraph heading, etc. And you can do that throughout here. And again, it looks nice on mobile. That's on the right. It's just a bit longer. And it is, of course, great width-wise here on our desktop view. I want to call to your attention on both of these, and this is a common practice for good reason, that the background of these footers are darker in color, right? So this is providing a contrast to what is likely a white background or a very light colored background on your website. You want to make sure that the background color or the scheme background of your footer is a high contrast to the rest of your website, because your footer really is a punctuation for your site. It's showing them that they have reached the end of the road. And of course, I'll show you in a moment what we can do with that end of the road to get leads. But do make sure that you are providing a high contrast here. My recommendation is to use a darker color from your brand palette along with white for these images or for the text, or a very light color, high contrast that is in your brand palette for the color scheme here. In this case, I've used a darker color with white in all cases. This looks really nice. And again, it provides that visual break from the subject matter of the page and shows them that they have reached the end. All right, now let's talk about putting this to work, meaning gathering leads. We want to include some kind of a lead magnet offer and call to action. You're not going to necessarily want to do this on every page of your site, but things like your about page, your home page, basically any page that doesn't have its own unique call to action, this is going to be a great thing to include. So you'll see that I've included a section here where I've got a little mock-up of my lead magnet, I've got a call to action, and then I've got a button that's going to link off to the landing page where they can actually go and put in their name and email. An important thing that you should know is that as of the time of filming, you cannot put a form into a footer unless you are building the entire page out and you're not using a global footer. And I'll show you what a global footer is, and I'll demonstrate all of this to you here in just a bit. A global footer is you set up a footer in AttractWell and it applies automatically as a default to every page that you have a footer on. If you are hell-bent on putting a form into a footer, you're not going to actually be using the footer feature. You would just be building something that looks like a footer into a page. Right. So basically all of that is to say on a page that is displayed in AttractWell, you can have one form. That can be a pop-up, it can be an on-page form, and that will work fine for that page. We don't have at this point in time a way to have multiple forms that can process on a single page. And footers, as you will come to discover, are actually pages that we are allowing to display alongside the page content that you choose. All right, so here again, this works, including this call to action. It works here with your basic footer as well as with our sitemap footer, both on mobile and on desktop. Now let's talk about our resources so we can get into them and I can actually show you how to make them your own. We have a resource bundle here. All you got to do is grant permission, click claim bundle, and you're off to the races. You're going to have these 3 pages imported into your AttractWell site that we will use to either build a basic footer or sitemap footer. And then with that optional, we can add in our lead magnet footer section here as well. And I have included here above our resources, Canva template links to each of the image features that are being used in this example. So let's go get into it. Let's see this in action by going over to AttractWell. Now do make sure that you are logged into your AttractWell account first before you click the link in the description of this video. That's where you can go to claim this bundle right now. So we're going to check the box. We're going to click claim bundle. But before I go anywhere, I'm actually going to close out of here, and I'm going to open each of these links in a new tab, because these are our Canva templates that we're going to be using, right? So here are our social icons that we'll use in that basic footer, our logo that we'll use in both, as well as the section background that we can use for our lead magnet section, as well as a mock-up and a tool to create the mock-up here for that lead magnet offer. All right, so now we're here, and these are the 3 pages that we're working with. So let's go find that basic footer. I'm going to type in basic footer, and that's right here under our custom page. All right, that is correct. So one thing that I do want to show you here, and again, we are editing a page. This will be connected to a page in the future, but it's going to be applied globally across your site. And that's why we are not able to utilize the lead feature here effectively. Could you set it up? Yes. Would it work? Unfortunately, no. So make sure that you set your footer up here by link only, published, of course, and do not show header or footer, because this is a footer, right? And we're going to actually have this applied throughout our site. So we're going to modify this first. First, let's change the background. So maybe this is our brand color here. And I'm actually going to go and find the hex code for this. You, of course, will likely have this in your Canva templates and maybe saved into your images and colors and stuff already here on your site, if you've branded your site already. But you can actually set this up in my colors and fonts, which are going to be right over here under website colors and fonts. You can actually get all of these here for a quick grab if you need them. Now let's go over to Canva and replace these images and of course our logo here so that we can get this thing completed. So I'm going to use this for a new design. And I'm simply going to go into each of these icons. I'm going to select the color, and you likely have this in your palette already, but if you don't, that's what I'm doing right now. Oh, I can go change all, and look at that. Canva just made my life so easy. So now what I'm going to do is download this with a transparent background. If you don't have Canva Pro, and you, of course, if you don't have Canva Pro, you can't download with a transparent background. I can't recommend enough that you just go ahead and get Canva, because if you have a website, you're going to be designing things for it. If you have social media, you're going to be designing things for it. And this really is the best one-stop shop for a brand who is controlling their own voice online, visually speaking. So what I would do in each of these cases is just go into your image here and just change the background of the image so that it has that same color, because we are ultimately going to be putting these into a background that looks like this, right? So just make sure that there's no white back here when you're downloading if you are using the free Canva. So I'm going to go down here to download, transparent background, click download, and we'll give that a moment. Here we go. That is now in our system. Let's go ahead and take care of our logo here as well. So here again, it doesn't really matter what the background color is because we are going to be saving this as a transparent background, but just in case, I'll just go ahead and pop this in here. There we go. And then this is going to be where you put your logo, right? So most likely for you, you're going to be going over here to projects, or you're going to be going into brand and finding your logos, right? So here's Jane's logo. I don't think this is the version of it that I want though. So what I'm going to do is just create a new version of it here with white text. So here's this one. I'm going to duplicate that because we've got our first and last name, and this one needs to not be bold. So here is Jane and her last name. I'll put them together and just make them nice and large, and then change that background color to white, and we're off to the races. Now, this is just a quick and dirty logo. You, of course, again, should be using the one that you're already using elsewhere on your site. So I'm going to go to download this, again, with a transparent background. There we go. Now we can go over and start editing this footer. So we're going to come and let me collapse my menu here. I'm going to, in the content editor, select, and then on each one of these, I'm going to change them out. Now, let me show you a quick way to save yourself some time. Over here under our content library, go to images. I'm going to actually open this in a new tab. And I'm going to go into my downloads, and I'm going to grab all of those and upload them all at once. It's a little bit less tedious than going through and hand replacing every single one of those images, right? I'm also going to go in and find that logo that I've created. Note that once this is in your library, it might be a little hard to see, especially when you're going to select. So just know that that's the one that we're going to be using, and you'll see what that looks like here in just a moment. I'm going to go ahead and save my progress here, refresh this page, because we need to be able to see those images that we just uploaded. So I'm going to click here, I'm going to click replace, and then I'm going to go into my library, and you can see here that it replaces beautifully. Note here that we do need to be adding our social media link here. So put your Facebook link here and then select open in new tab when you do. Remember, if we are sending someone away from our website, we want to have that open in a new tab so that they don't lose the link to our website. So they're still on our website, just in a new tab, right? So we're going to repeat that for each of these. If you don't have one, feel free to delete it. So I just hit delete there. If you want to change the order of them, you can certainly upload your YouTube one here. Just take note that the alternative text here is already there for you. So you might need to change the alternative text if you change the icon and of course the link to where it needs to go. So repeat here, swap out the image, add the link in each case to go to the appropriate platform, to your profile on that platform. Repeat these for all of them that you have. And of course, from there, you can go and swap out your logo. So here we'll, oh, that's not the one I wanted. I wanted LinkedIn there. There it is. All right, perfect. So here's our logo. Again, we're going to go replace, and all of the sizing here is already figured out for you, so you don't have to worry about it. I'm going to go to browse here, and here, remember I told you it would be a little hard to see. We're going to select that. There we go. And then here you can go and find your privacy policy page. Just simply click edit link and then find it in the drop down. Same for terms of use and your affiliate disclaimer. If you're going to be using those, if maybe you don't have something like that, feel free to just hit delete and you're good to go, right? Contact here, I want to draw your attention to this. If we click edit link here, we have hashtag contact that is going to pop up the contact field. Okay, so with that, we are essentially good to go. Again, make sure that these are all linked off to the appropriate platforms as needed. You do that by clicking it and inserting link, put the link in there, click open a new tab and update, and you're good to go. Now, once you're done replacing everything and putting your links in, go ahead and do a quick preview on this to see that it looks good on desktop, which it does, and on mobile, which it also does. And you could certainly check your tablet view as well. So we're good. Now, what if you would like to include a call to action? Now, if you're not sure which type of footer you want to use, it would be a good idea to have that lead magnet footer created or modified first so that you can use it wherever you want it. And let me see, I actually have two versions of this. And let me just make sure I'm selecting the correct one. Okay, here we go. So this is our lead magnet footer section, by link only, published, show header, show footer, or unchecked. Okay, so now we're going to go in and we're going to change our background. So that's by clicking right here, edit section settings. And you can see that we have an image here. Now we've already done our social icons and our logo. Let's go address our background here. So I've just simply created a background with an element in Canva with a color, and you could create something wholly different. Super up to you. I went into elements and I found a wave. And I picked the one that I like. So I maybe want to try, let me go see under graphics. Let's see. So I would choose a graphic where the color can be changed. And definitely use the same color that you used for your footer because we want this to be seamless. So I'm going to grab this one here. It's a little bit less dramatic than this one, I think. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to drag it across. And I think I want to flip it horizontally. It's actually just about the same. It's just a little bit less dramatic of a wave. So I'm going to place it a little bit higher. I'm also going to just let it extend a little bit over the edges just to make sure that there's no white that's going to show up on the edges once we are in AttractWell. We're using this as a section background. So click the color and let's pop in that color that we used previously. And I might need to go grab that. Here we go. Let me go back into my footer. Just a quick tip for you. Again, you probably already have your colors and fonts set up, and you should be using a color from your colors and fonts. So here's our brand colors. Here is the custom color. I'm going to show it, and I'm just going to go and copy this hex code so I can pop it into Canva. Highly recommend that you have your color palette set up for your brand. You can see that this is actually a color palette from the Jane brand, but I am going off script here today with this teal color. All right, now I can, I've got that part taken care of. Let me go ahead and add another section here, or another element rather. Again, I'm going to have that overlap and just drag it to fill the whole rest of the screen. And I'm going to give it that same color. So now we have a section that has very little white. And this is essentially what's going to provide a visual flow from your existing white background onto the footer of your site, right? So if the background of your page is not this white color, then you may want to select this and change this to the color of your website. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to download. Perfect. And now we can go back over here to our background image. We can change it by clicking upload, and we can grab that from our downloads on our device. Once that's uploaded, we can select it, and you can see that it changes right away. Now I'm going to center this because it will change what it looks like, especially from mobile view or tablet view. The width of this is going to show in its entirety on most widescreen desktops, such as a laptop or a large desktop computer. But I'm going to center this left to right, and then up, down. I'm going to keep this up. I'm actually going to move this just a little bit because, again, I don't want there to be a ton of white in this space because this is really our footer, right? So now that I've done that, we need to address the fact that this is so dark of a contrast that we can't really see everything that we have to say here. So because this is going to look a little bit different on our mobile device, right? See, which we could get away with all white here if we wanted to. We're not going to get away with it entirely here. Definitely not getting away with all white here. The best course of action here is going to be to go to Element Styles. And then we're going to try to select this entire box that has the call to action in it. And while we are still here in Edit Element Styles, we're going to increase that background opacity. We're going to maybe give it a little bit of a blur, totally up to you. And I'm going to give it a little bit of padding. So a little bit of top padding, a little bottom padding, and some padding on the left. All right, so with that done, we are basically good to go with the exception of getting our mock-up in place. So let's go take a look at this. So here's our phone mock-up. This is what we're going to use to actually create that phone shape that's on the page here. But in order to get the image for our lead magnet onto that phone, we got to come up with a mock-up image. So we're going to be using basically a wallpaper template for the phone. And you're going to go find your lead magnet. And if it's a PDF lead magnet, then you are in such good luck because you can just simply go to your projects, find that lead magnet, and then pop it right in here. So here is my lead magnet. Perfect. I am going to maybe just kind of nudge this over just a little bit. I'm using my keyboard to move the text over some. And I am going to go back and modify this, kind of center this image a little bit more. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to download this. And with that downloaded, I'm going to come back over here to this phone mockup. I'm going to use the template for a new design. I'm going to click delete off the top here. Just select the phone, hit delete. You can see that this is this is actually a frame from Canva Elements. And I'm going to go and grab my image that I created. Here you go. I've actually got that downloaded here. I can drag it over, select it, drag it over until it highlights the frame here. Now I need this to be moved over just a bit, so I double clicked it and I can scoot it over so that it's centered the way that I want it to be. All right, so our last step here is going to be to download this with a transparent background. And then we can go and add that right here. I'm going to swap out this image. We need to be in the content editor. So click that, replace. And then let's grab that phone frame mock-up here. And we're good to go. So this also needs to be edited as our final step. This is where you're going to put a link to your landing page. So I'm going to go edit link here. And there's a hashtag here as a placeholder, but we're going to go to find our landing page. And we'll just pretend like this is it. And here we'll say, get the guide. We'll go update, done, and save. Now let's take a quick look. Make sure this looks the way that we want it to. That looks great on desktop here. And remember, you don't have to have a ton of padding from the top because the bottom of the previous section is likely white. That's what we're kind of moving toward here is the bottom. So you're going to have some white space above this already. You don't have to worry too much about padding. Now, I do actually want to create a little bit more space here between this image and this box here. So what I'm going to do here with the content editor, I'm just going to do, and this is probably if Greg were on the call with me, he'd tell me a more professional way to do this, but I'm not a designer, you guys. I'm going to click and just going to hit enter. And let me show you how that just helped. Take a look at that. Voila, there's a little bit of space. So sometimes hitting enter gets you what you want. All right, so with that done, we're gonna save this. And now let's go back over to that footer that we created already, that basic footer. And again, I do have two versions of this. I hope this is the one that I just edited. Perfect, it is. All right, fantastic. So now what if we want to combine these two things together? What if I want that call to action with the lead magnet and this footer to show up everywhere on my site? Here's what we do. I'm going to go right here and I'm going to click this little plus. I'm going to copy in another page. I'm going to type in footer so I can find that lead magnet footer section. I actually believe it was the second one in the list. Let me copy that in. That is not the one. Let me delete it. All right, copy in another page. This one. Voila. All right, now we can see the two of these things together, and let's take a look at them as a whole. There we go. That would be the footer, right? Perfect. And then again, it shows up fantastically well. Again, that kind of white transition into the footer on mobile as well, right? So now you can plug this in wherever you like on your site. Now, you want a sitemap footer, you say, let's go take a look at that and make the modifications there as needed. So here's our sitemap footer. First things first, let's go over here and apply that background color. Then we can go in and replace that logo with the one that we've already created. You can then go in and modify to your heart's content. Okay, so these are all links. They are placeholders. One of them has this contact form, which, by the way, let's take a look at what that does. If you click contact, it does pop up your contact form. So that is a great thing to put in as a link in your footer. And of course, these you would link off to another website, open in a new tab, just like you did with those images, if that's your preference. Now, what if you want the best of both worlds? Maybe you would like to have the image or logos for your social media, and you want to use these lists for your sitemap in a different way. Well, you can do that. Let's use that copy in another page feature. And fingers crossed that I've got the right copy of basic footer. Yes, I do. All right, so we've got we're in our content editor, and I'm just going to delete everything except for our images here. Oops. Perfect. All right, so those are there and good to go. You can then change this, right? So maybe you've got, you've got a list. Maybe this is your about. Maybe this is your list of links for clients, and this is your list for folks who want to attend your workshops or what have you, right? I wouldn't go, again, more than 4 here, but if you wanted to, you could go ahead and hit enter a couple of times, change the paragraph here to heading 4, and give another list, right? And then here we're going back to normal. And then here's item 1, item 2, et cetera. And you can select these, and there is a link, insert link right here, or you can hit Command or Control K to pop that up and put your URL in there. Remembering, of course, if you want to link to something that is in your system, you can find that in the drop down here. You can find that by clicking this little magnifying glass, or again, if you're going to send them off somewhere that's not on your site, click open in a new tab. All right. And so you can, again, create these multiple lists if you wish, and you can have a much bigger footer. And finally, if you want to have them all together and have just a fantastically big footer that includes your lead magnet, you can do that as well, right? And again, once you've got it all done, take a look, make sure that it looks the way that you want it to, which this is fantastic, on both on mobile as well as on desktop. Now, once you've got this done, it looks the way that you want it to. All you've got to do is go over to Let me first actually determine whether or not the home page that we're using has a footer attached to it. All we have to do is go over here to our home page, go to settings, and you can see that we've got default footer set up here. You can customize the footer that you include on your site if you want to do that. Like on each page, right? So you can have a global footer, which I'll show you how to install here in just a second. But if on certain pages you want to have a particular style of footer, you can choose to do that as well. And on some pages, such as landing pages, it's better to not have a footer at all, right? Because we want to have our call to action lead them directly to the one option that's on the page. Sales pages as well, don't recommend having a full footer, especially not one with that lead magnet call to action in it. Because we really do want to make sure on those pages, they call them squeeze pages sometimes, we are squeezing the focus toward taking the action that we want them to. All right, and let's go and create this heading as this heading. We're going to create a global footer, meaning we're going to have this apply across our entire site. So let's go over here to customize my site under website and blog menu. Come right down here to page footer and select. And the one that we just set up, the behemoth that we just set up was the one that was called the sitemap footer. Again, I believe that's the correct one. We save our changes. We go view my site. And when we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that we have all of that great stuff included here. And it's mobile responsive. And of course, in this case, this was not the section to do this on. We want to make sure that maybe on that home page, we have a maybe a white section above this. Let's go I'll show you how to make that, rectify that, make that look good. So we'll go to the home here. And I'm just going to add in just a section with nothing in it. Right here, this is going to be, I'll do a one column, no header section. I'm going to delete the text, and I'm just going to add a tiny bit of padding to the top and bottom of this section. So background padding, increase that maybe to 50-50. Somewhere in the neighborhood is fine. So I'm going to save this. And then when we go to view, you'll see that we've got that. And again, I went off script with the colors here. So I would definitely not recommend using a color that's so far outside of the palette as I've done in our example here today. But as you can see, we've got that nice little transition right here. So that's it. I hope you guys got so much out of this today. If you are celebrating, I hope that your holiday is safe and wonderful. We will be back same time next week. That's 2 p.m. US Eastern time. And let us know in the comments below this video what you want to learn about next. Of course, if you need help and support, get in touch with our team. We're here for you. That's support@attractwell.com. And I hope to see you on next week's call. Take care, everybody.